ever-shifting waters of the river of this life. I was swimming, seeking comfort. I was wrestling ways to find a boulder I could cling to, a stone to hold me fast, where I let the fretful waters of this river round me pass. And so I found an anchor, a blessed resting place, a trusty rock I called my Savior. There I would be safe from the river and its dangers, and I'd proclaim my rock divine, and I prayed to it protect me, and the rock replied, God is a river, not just a stone. God is a wild raging rapids and slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage, a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. Still I clung to my rock tightly with conviction in my arms, never looking at the stream to keep my mind from thoughts of harm. But the river kept on coming, kept on tugging at my legs, till at last my fingers faltered and I was swept away. So I'm going with the flow now, these relentless twists and bends, acclimating to the motion and a sense of being led. And this river is like my body now, it carries me along through the ever-changing scenes and by the rocks that sing this song. God river, not just a stone. God is a wild raging rapids and slow meandering flow. God is a deep and narrow passage and a peaceful sandy shore. God is a river swimmer, so let go. God is the river swimmer, so let go.
Once I was a fish, once I was a whale, swimming in the deep blue sea. Everything around me was a part of me. Oh, I'd fly so high, oh, I'd dive so deep, living ecologically, going where it pleases, sea to shining sea. Oh, the spell is love.
Good morning. Welcome to All Souls Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Susan Caldwell, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here. Our minister is the Reverend Barbara Gerald. She is currently out of town on tour in her other profession as a singer-songwriter. Last year, she was one of the winners of the Kerrville Folk Festival, and so she is on the winners tour right now, and also will be on the program of the Kerrville Folk Festival this summer. So we're excited. We're excited and proud of her. And we wish her continued success and safe travels home. If you care to worship with us, whatever your age, race, national origin, gender identity, sexual orientation, all of the things that make up you are welcome here. Here we use the word worship with its roots in the Old English of lifting up matters of worth. And our matters of worth are many and varied, and we like it that way because we learn from each other. We learn from our differences, we seek out our commonalities, and both of those things are so important to us. We try to front load our services with a few announcements of things that are going on, so I'll have our board person of the day, Jennifer Russell, come and join us. Thanks.
Good morning. So our volunteer of the month for the month of May is Rovina Windsor. Rovina is currently serving as secretary of the board, which is an involved job. In that role, she has helped us recently to use technology in a way that is more efficient for us and just helps some things on the board flow more smoothly, so we really appreciate that. She's a religious education teacher, volunteers in that capacity, and weekly office volunteer here at the church as well. So thank you, Rovina. For the month of May, our Giveaway the Plate recipient is the Unitarian Universalist for Justice in the Middle East. We have a chapter here that's affiliated with the church. Anything that comes in during the month of May that's not designated as pledges will go to that chapter to support the work that they're doing to promote justice in the Middle East. We have a congregational meeting upcoming on 2 weeks from today on May 19th. After the 11 o'clock worship service, we will be electing new members to the board, and you will be able to attend that either in person in the sanctuary after the service or via Zoom. And we will need a quorum, so make sure you put that on your calendars. Building and Grounds Workday is this coming Saturday. It's from 10 to 2 here at the church. Everything that gets done around here, with the exception of a few cleaning tasks, is done by our congregation. There are usually indoor and outdoor tasks. If y'all were here earlier, we lost a limb across the nature trail. I don't know if that's going to be on the agenda. But there is always work to do around here to keep up with our building and our property. So that's from 10 to 2 this Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Later this morning, Bennett Upton, who's our former board president and also does all kinds of stuff around here, he's going to be speaking and talking about how lessons we can learn from nature, and I think we learned a big one this morning. So I did want to let you know that the Unitarian Universalists for Justice in the Middle East will be having a letter writing campaign today after church on behalf of Nadira Shalhoub Kevorkian. She is a professor at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. She is currently imprisoned for political speech. She holds dual American and Israeli citizenship. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe we'll be writing letters to her, but also on her behalf to the Biden administration, asking that we press for her release. So if you are willing to be a part of that, please join us in the social hall. Please join us in the social hall anyway. There's coffee, and we'd love to chat with you, whether you write a letter or not, but that will be going on as part of our time after church. And there, 2 weeks from today, right after church, not right after church, but later in the afternoon at 4 p.m., is the Peace Alliance, which is a group exploring veganism. They will be showing a movie, What the Health, And so you don't have to be vegan or vegetarian to come and see the movie and be a part of the group. A lot of people are vegan curious or vegan adjacent or whatever, and all of those varieties are welcome. If you'll take a deep breath, relax your shoulders down from your ears. And if you do it again, you probably find you can relax them just a little bit more. And after the chime, I'll ask that you sing with me, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are," and the words will be on the screen. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Let's pick it up just a little bit, because we are not a caravan of despair. Am I right? Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. So reading from Adaku Uta, Lessons from Mycelium Mushrooms. Mycelium mushrooms have been one of my greatest teachers of trust. The word mycelium means more than one. The mycelium organism is a dynamic root system of mushrooms that utilizes trust as a mechanism to build and sustain a vast reciprocal underground network that connects the roots of trees and plants and skillfully shares nutrients and resources to support the health of the entire ecosystem with which it moves. This mycelial network cannot exist without trust. The mycelium communication highway recognizes and believes in the collective ability to channel and receive nutrients where needed to protect against parasites and expand roots into necessary sites of growth. The network process also fosters intergenerational relationships that welcome the myriad of ancient wisdom and connections that reside in older trees to benefit younger ones. These mushrooms affirm a commitment to building relationships of trust that encourage all life to bloom, one that I aspire to embody more and more in my organizing practice. It takes courage to bring our trust forward and invite another person to meet us there. This sometimes sure, often shaky surrender can be a catalyst to grow beyond ourselves, to embrace a kind of faith brave enough to yield a wider focus, often unseen, with a singular lens. Cultivating trust is an organizing strategy. Trust intercepts blame and attack and invites care and compassion to take the lead. It takes the time to ensure that practices are aligned with values. In times of crises, trust knows that you won't be intentionally hurt by comrades. It relies on our imagination's harvest and initiates possibility filled with hope and inspiration. It encourages us to delegate and share our work so imbalance dissolves and burnout fades. Trust invites us to come together for the sake of collective liberation. Someone going to help me this morning with the children's chalice lighting? Thank you, Natalie. And Jackson and Ava and Elizabeth. All right. Good group. light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together, with mind, hands, and heart, we care for the earth and for each other. You do it? Or you do it? And in the light of our chalice, we have the words of Kim Mason. Once upon a time, chemists believed they could transform lead into gold or death into life. We laugh, but are we not also in the business of alchemy? Turning loneliness into connection, pain into comfort, anger into solidarity, faith into action. The subtle magic of church combines love with justice, creates hope out of fear, transforms individuals into community. Here we engage in a holy alchemy, finding beauty in the ordinary and life in the present. Come, let us be transformed together. And will you rise in body or spirit and join us in the unison affirmation? The words are on the screen. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the sacred. Thus do we covenant with each other. So our song, you can remain standing as you are comfortable doing that. The song this morning is a simple one. It's call and response. So you just have to sing after me. So it goes like this. Draw the circle wide, draw the circle wide, draw it wider still, draw it wider still. Let this be our song. Let this be our song. No one stands alone. No one stands alone. Standing side by side. Standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Let's do it again. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. Let this be our song. No one stands alone. No one stands alone. Standing side by side. Standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Draw the circle wide. You think we could do it together? Let's try it. Let's try it. Ready? Draw the circle wide, draw it wider still. Let this be our song, no one stands alone, standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. Awesome, thank you. Y'all sound good today. Y'all sound good all the time, but you sound good. I'm doing something this morning for our
the first ones to process cellulose. We're not the first ones to make paper. We're not the first ones to try to optimize packing space or to waterproof or to try to heat and cool a structure. We're not the first ones to build houses for our young. People are beginning to remember that other organisms, the rest of the natural world, are doing things very similar to what we need to do. But in fact, they're doing them in a way that have allowed them to live gracefully on this planet for billions of years.
Did you like that? Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Was I right? Yeah. What'd you say, Natalie? You did not like the wasp part since you've gotten hurt by wasps. I can understand that. That would definitely put a cast on that. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Anybody else what stood out for you? Yeah, Dakota. Sapiens comes in many forms. Yes. Yes. Yes, all of nature is necessary for our existence. I think we have a phrase about that in fact, I think it's what the kids are going to talk about in class today. And what is that word? It's a long word, starts with an I. Yes. Interdependence, that's right. Just what Reverend Joy said, that we all need each other. Every one of us needs every one of us, and we need all of this nature that's around us. So with that thought, I'm going to send you all off to learn about interdependence. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. As we bring ourselves into a spirit of meditation this morning, I want to read you this story from Christine Slocum. It was no surprise to me. Each early winter sunset, I rode my bike home from work and found myself beneath a river of feathers and squawks upon reaching the community center. Thousands of crows would fly in a stream into the heart of the city. I heard rumors that they roosted together in Buffalo's largest cemetery. Each evening, I'd bike home from work, get the car, and pick up my children. Most times when I arrived back at the community center, the crows were gone. Lengthening daylight and the transition towards spring made this day different. My daughter was staying late for a program, and so it was just my 7-year-old son with me. It was only 3 steps out the door before he stopped. "Mama, look." The sky was full of crows. The crows kept flying while we walked to the car. My son marveled at how many there were. "We have to follow them," he declared, as the tail end of the flock passed us. I looked at the clock. We had nowhere to be for an hour. Why not? It turns out that as the crow flies is faster than navigating city streets, as crows are restricted by neither infrastructure nor speed limit. My son kept his eyes on the birds while I meandered the east side of Buffalo under the purple-orange sky. I was expecting to end up at the cemetery. At the point where I was sure we had lost them, we found ourselves in a neighborhood in transition. A former factory replaced by an apartment complex and field. New builds next to century-old dwellings. tall old trees, and everything was covered in crows. Pulled over on a side street, we used the car as a bird blind. Watching in the backdrop of downtown in twilight, we were both in awe. I know that crows gather in these large numbers to get safety from predators. I wasn't expecting it to be in such an urban part of the city. We often think of the city as being a place of people, but it's more than that. We never leave nature. Crows found ways to adapt to our concrete forests, but we have not yet found ways to make sure we are in balance with the rest of creation. Perhaps through noticing and choosing to honor our interdependence with nature, we will do better. May we embrace our interdependence with nature, recognizing that we share even our built environments with the world's plants and animals. May we create sustainable lifestyles that honor the world as the home for all living things. May we notice how nature's beauty follows us wherever we are, and may we carry this with us into the silence.
The beginning is now and will always be. They say you've lost your chance, that fate brought you defeat, but that means nothing. You look so sad. You've been listening to those who say you missed your chance. There's another train, there always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard another train. You may feel you're done, but there's no such thing. Although you're standing on your own breath is king. The beginning is now. Don't turn around, for regrets about mistakes will only drain you. There's another train, there always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard another train. We crawl in the dark sometimes and think too much. We fill our heads with crazy things that only break our hearts. And I know you've seen what the earth can do. yourself in fear till you feel you cannot move. You're building worlds that don't exist. Imagination plays the worst tricks. There's another train. There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard. There's another train. There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard. There's another train. There's another train. There always is. Maybe the next one is yours. Get up and climb aboard.
Well, if I start to do any kind of introduction for Bennett Upton, I'm going to go on way too long. So I am just going to hand it over to him, let him tell you about him and about his topic today. Thank you so much, Bennett.
Thank you. I've actually been introduced by Susan a couple of times, and she can go on. She does excellent introductions. It's one of the things that I've learned from her. So, or that I've tried to learn from her. But, yeah, so, okay, hi, all right. I do feel a little bit like today, like as a child, I broke Mom's favorite ashtray, and then I tried to remake it, and because I've got something that I have broken. And I feel like it belongs to all of you, and then I replaced it with something else, and it doesn't feel like the same thing. It's a different thing. It's like I tried to make the ashtray, but it turned into a mug. And I'm like, Mom, you know, you don't need an ashtray anyway, do you? Really? You didn't need this. Yeah, it's because it's kind of a new metaphor, you know. It's one that I really haven't heard a lot, but about the forest, I guess. But it also kind of breaks an older metaphor. So I had to rewrite the whole thing just because I realized that I said that originally when I first wrote this, and then I never made it explicit. So I had to I feel like this is something that I shouldn't be leaving out. I shouldn't be leaving it implicit. Anyway. I've been out hiking a lot lately, and when I went out hiking, I get these ideas, and as I'm going down the trail, and all of these ideas are just kind of in my brain, and they make perfect sense to me. And then I told Susan that, man, I've got a sermon that I basically wrote while I was hiking, and then she called my bluff, and she's like, so you said you got a sermon, right? And you can, and I'm like, well, okay, I think I could write one. This is what I've come up with after a couple of revisions. And let me take you down a trail that I went down, a different kind of trail. That's a different metaphor. That's not the one I'm doing today. First, I started off by reading an article, and it recommended that I read this book called Mini Forest Revolution, which is a great book. It's actually a fairly light read, considering the subject matter. Just to give you the brief kind of summary of it, if we're going to survive, which is a possibility, then we're going to have to do some sort of carbon capture. We can't just continue down the global warming path that we're on. We won't really make it exactly. And the ways of carbon capture that we've been talking about doing have been largely produced by fossil fuel companies. It's not exactly, they haven't been scalable. They're probably not going to work. But forests capture large amounts of carbon. And there are a lot of people who say, well, actually forests don't capture all that much, and then they get released as soon as they burn down, but an old-growth forest does. It's just we don't really have any old-growth forests left in the nation, in this country. There are very few left in the world. Most of them were protected as religious sites, and that's really all we have. And so this guy, who is Japanese, his name was Miyawaki. He came up with the Miyawaki method to plant new forests. And basically what you do is you figure out all of the things that are native to that area, and then you come up with a short list. You analyze the interactions of all of the different species, and then in the space of 6 parking spots, you can make a forest with about 40 species, and it turns into basically the same as an old-growth forest after about 20 years. So, and then requires no maintenance after 3 years. It's a pretty neat idea. These forests are resistant to floods. They actually absorb a ton of water, much more than regular soil does. They're resistant to droughts because they already absorbed all that moisture from the floods earlier, and they're also resistant to fires. They capture a lot of carbon. A tree in an old-growth forest captures as much carbon as planting a new tree, but it captures that every year, and you don't have to plant anything else. They provide cooling and habitat for a lot of species. So they've been doing these in Paris, and they even did one recently in Manhattan, where because they actually can go into these bad neighborhoods, they can plant these forests, they cool it, and so then they help out oppressed people by providing cooling, preventing fires, providing habitat for nature, and just like lots of benefits. So anyway, if you'd like to read the book, it's Mini Forest Revolution. It's a wonderful book. If not, you don't have to understand what I'm going to talk about today. That's also fine. I read the book, had the idea that I needed to inventory all of the species that were on the property here. And so I was at UBAR-U, which is UU Summer Camp. If you're not familiar with it, it's also another great thing, another thing I'm going to shill for today. You can go to ubaru.org, which is spelled like Subaru.org without the S on the front. And then they've got summer camps that are starting up soon, so it's a great place to send your kids. They go through July. They do that every year. They also have events for adults. It's in the hill country of Texas. It's about 5 hours from here, just outside between San Antonio and Austin. And I met a woman there who's, I think she's a botanist. She turned me onto an app called iNaturalist. It allows you to involve scientists in identifying species. You can take a picture of something with your phone. Next thing you know, there's a real scientist who's looking at your stuff and confirming or denying, as frequently happens with me because I'm not a botanist, and telling me that I'm wrong. That's, but it's cool. This woman, she was organizing bioblitzes where a bunch of people go out, make a bunch of observations. And this is useful for the Miyawaki method because you have to know what actually grows natively in an area, and then you have to be able to study how those things interact. And because you need to know which species of the 40 species you're going to plant in this little area in order for this forest to work. And I, not being a botanist, am just cataloging all of this stuff for future reference so that other people can go back and study it, because, that's not me. But I also like hiking, so there are a lot of botanists that don't. And anyway, one of the things that really struck me as I was doing this as just a hobby is that there's just an incredible number of relationships between all of the different species in a forest. It's complex, and it just really filled me with a lot of awe to see all of these just amazing things that are happening inside of a forest, all of these things that are just right under our feet. And so, like pollinators and flowers are some of the easiest to see. We can see pollinators and flowers, yes. Honeybees are invasive. Sorry, you can kill them if you'd like. Honeybees are really bad, actually. They're displacing pollinators. This is one of the things that I was talking about breaking for you today. That was the little one. I haven't gotten to the big one yet. There's a lot of species. Crepe myrtles also. They're from Southeastern Asia. And Japanese honeysuckle. Also not, it's invasive. Some trees, like the pawpaw, they're only pollinated by beetles. I thought that was really fascinating that beetles are doing that. Mosquitoes are pollinators. The male mosquitoes don't suck blood. You've heard that. You probably didn't know that they were also pollinating a lot of flowers. They're really actually quite useful in that sense. I could probably go on about ticks. But I won't. I see that I've reached my audience limit here on things. There's also pioneer species. The tree that we have out front that's in the center of our area, it's actually a volunteer. It came up and people just didn't mow it. And it's a pioneer species. It grows in disturbed areas, and that's kind of what it does. But pioneer species are kind of like a scar tissue for the forest. And if you think of the forest as being an organism that is much more complex and much more sophisticated than we are, that we are actually just a piece of a forest far, far from here, and one that we have probably put a torch to at some point. Like, these pioneer species are a critical part of that forest. They are the scar tissue. They grow in and they prevent erosion when there's a trauma in the forest. Grasses and herbs quickly sprout in, and then there are trees like the winged elm that's out front, if you were wondering. If not, I'm available all day to tell you what all of those things are, anytime you'd like to know. There's understory trees, so that when large pieces of bigger trees fall on them, like the dogwood is one of the hardest woods in the forest. It's just because, of course, it has to be, it's got other trees like that giant thing up there falling on it, like it did today, as we were just before most of you arrived here. Anyway, that was a little trauma for me today. Some are very specific relationships that we have. There's the honeydew eater, if you've never heard of that. It's a fungus that grows on aphids that feed on beech trees. And it looks like the universe is coming to an end. It's just the blackest, like fuzziest thing, and when black fuzzy things come after me, that's what terrifies me. It's not wasps that get me. So anyway, as I've said, I'm not a botanist. I've just seen a piece of this world, and I've been just astounded by its complexity and the complexity of all of the relationships between every species that are out in the forest, and thinking of the forest itself as an organism that is growing things like us. And it's just doing that so that we'll spread its fruit. We actually have a very simple piece in this. But then as I'm going through this and I'm thinking of this as a metaphor, I realize that we already have a metaphor, and it's the river. And when we talk about nonviolent resistance, and when we talk about or it's also called passive resistance, or satyagraha is what Gandhi referred to it as, but that's another story and another revision that I've written. But the river kind of doesn't go the same way, right? It's the first I heard of it was with when I was reading Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse, another good book that you don't have to read if you don't want to. But there's a guy who sits on the river and he learns how to live his life from the river. And this is a metaphor that I've heard used a lot. And the metaphor works great when we're talking about how to live an individual life, but it doesn't address that at a certain point we may come across systems of injustice. And, its principle, like if we're just going with the flow of things and we're just moving along like a river, then we are just doing what we were put here to do, and we weren't put here by the forest exactly for that. So I'm not going to try and mix those metaphors together. That would be a mess. The river metaphor, though, really does entrench systems of oppression. It does not teach us how to organize, and organizing as a community is one of the most important things that we can do. The system that we live in now is a hierarchy where we have very important people, like the president, the capitalists, the generals of the military, and then we have the least important people, which are the waste management services, and mostly everybody thinks that those are the worst people, right? They're dirty. Except that I never need anything from the president, and I constantly need the waste management services. Those are extremely important people, and I'm always very nice to the folks that pick up my garbage, because they're the most important people in the world, really. And so with that idea, I'm going to propose to you a new metaphor for organizing, which is about the forest, and it was really covered pretty well in that the opening about the mycelium. But the forest incorporates nonviolent resistance into its method. It can be followed in everything that we do. It really turns hierarchy on its head. And really, if you start following this metaphor in your life, then no one will really notice until it's too late that you're doing it, because it's really kind of a sneaky way to organize, but it's also really the way that it happens. We focus on the relationships that bring us sustenance. Like squirrels eat from the tree, but the squirrel will also plant the seeds from the tree. So that's a pretty easy relationship to see. Predators are responsible for their prey. And I've seen a nature film one time that was talking about how lions in an area where there was only one watering hole, they would never hunt at the watering hole, because as soon as they do, all of the animals that rely on that watering hole leave, and then they all die, and then the lions die too. And you can see that in the story of Noah, where the lion lays down with the lamb, and, well, there's only 2 lambs on the boat, so the lion cannot eat the lamb, or else the lion will die. There will never be another lamb once he eats a lamb. And are you going to talk about unicorns? No. Okay, go for it. Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, that's interesting. But then the lion also has to go for 40 days without eating. And then I just jumped to well, that's where the unicorns went. I'm sorry. Again, something else that I've ruined for you. That's what I'm doing today. But the predators are responsible for their prey. Flowers are responsible for their pollinators. And you can't be a flower and a pollinator. It doesn't really work like that. So you have to leave space for others to fulfill their roles and their responsibilities. We can't be everything in the ecosystem. That's antithetical to an ecosystem. It's not a system at that point if we try and do everything. We have to just do the thing that we're doing and not try and go too far outside of our bounds. We have pioneer species that grow in sidewalk cracks and push those wider. And so whenever something comes up in those cracks, that's an important task that the forest has to accomplish to tear down the thing that we built so that the forest can regrow in that area. And there are a lot of plants that do that. Those are important plants. We call them weeds. And I hope to one day be a weed. But we only exist fully in the context of our community. Anything that we do to build community is good, and it's enough. And so I'm going to read to you a quote from Dr. King. He says, "The Holy Spirit is continuing community, creating reality that moves through history. He who works against community is working against the whole of creation. Therefore, if I respond to hate with a reciprocal hate, I do nothing but intensify the cleavage in a broken community. I can only close the gap in broken community by meeting hate with love. If I meet hate with hate, I become depersonalized, because creation is so designed that my personality can only be fulfilled in the context of community." Booker T. Washington was right. Let no man pull you so low as to make you hate him. When he pulls you that low, he brings you to the point of working against community. He drags you to the point of defying creation and thereby becoming depersonalized. That was a quote from Dr. King with a nested quote from Booker T. Washington. The center point, or the counterpoint to that, is that all we have to do is work towards building strong community by creating sophisticated and functional relationships, which, again, I'm not a botanist. I don't know what those relationships are. Those are up to you. But when we do that, we work with the power and the flow of the water, with the wind at our backs. And as an integral part of the forest, we are pushed along with the power of creation. So that is what I hope makes some sense to you guys today. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you later.
Thank you. I'm so glad you brought that to us, Bennett. Thank you. Jennifer reminded me a little while ago that I forgot in announcements this morning about the Holocaust Memorial Service, which is this afternoon at 3 at LSUS in the University Ballroom. So I wanted to just let you know about that. And we'll sing one of the songs that Bennett asked for today, which is We'll Build a Land, and we'll think of building maybe in a different way because of having heard this today. So thank you for that. And I'll ask our choir members that were going to help me out with this. And the words will be on the screen. You can rise in body or spirit.
We'll build a land where we bind up the broken. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness dissolves all mourning. Oh, we'll build a promised land that can be. Come, build a land where all is one family, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream. We'll build a land where we bring the good tidings to all the afflicted and all those who mourn, and we'll give them garlands instead of ashes. Oh, we'll build a land where peace is born. We'll build a land building up ancient cities, raising up devastations of old, restoring ruins of generations. Oh, we'll build a land of people so bold.
Come, build a land where the mantles of praises resound from spirits once faint and once weak,
Where like oaths of righteousness stand her people. Oh, come build the land, my people we seek. Come build a land where all is one family, anointed by God, may then create peace, where justice shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
From Adam's slate, be kind, be brave, be just, be merciful, be hopeful, and organize. This is how we keep the chalice flame burning until we are together again to light it anew. Thank you, everybody, for coming out in the rain. And thank you, Bennett, again.
Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known, travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel.